Good afternoon, ad briefings, folks. Hey, we're going to talk a little bit about claims. If you're going to offer a benefit to your product and service, how do you protect yourself as a copywriter from any claims put off on you by your client? So, for example, you go and interview your client, and they have a product, and they say, this product is incredible. This product will regrow hair, and it will increase your sexual libido, and it will make you stronger. And they explain all these claims that their product will do. And you, as the advertiser, take this information, you as the copywriter take this information, and you produce copy that helps convey the benefits of the product as they are conveyed to you to a customer who will then use the product in the future. Here's the challenge. Just because your client says that the product will deliver such a benefit doesn't remove you from liability if there should be a Federal Trade Commission claim on the product in the future, that there could be an issue where there's a misrepresentation of the product, where the vendor may turn around or the client may turn around and say, well, look, we just answered their questions in an interview, and that copywriter sounded really good, and we didn't realize they wrote it in such a way that was misleading to the customers. And in fact, the copywriter yourself, if you're not properly engaged in that assignment, could be liable for the presentation of the product. Now, folks will argue with me here, but if you want to be an ethical copywriter who provides copy that produces, you can't just go and copy the benefits from a competitor's product and then take everything that you hear from a customer, from a client, and convey it to their customers without really vetting it. So here's what I'm suggesting you do, and I find very beneficial in my own work, even for my own products, is that behind the scenes, Bob Bly talks about this a little bit. I've heard other copywriters talk about this in expensive courses. Behind the scenes, I want you to document everything. I want you to document an affidavit from the testimonial. So the customer, your client, gives to you a bunch of customer testimonials, and they have all these wonderful things said about the product itself. Ask for an affidavit. And they may not have an affidavit, by the way, so you may need to help them as a service, help them get credentialized testimonials that are accurate for today's current trade environment. Now, if you're doing this for a niche, you may just go get a letter from the customer and just validating or quantifying the value they receive from your client. You may have letterhead where the testimonials have come from, then great. You want to reference in your notes the original document where you might take an excerpt of a claim. You want to look at the product yourself. You want to make sure the product really does what you are presenting it to do. In fact, borrow the product. Go meet with and interview customers. Document everything about the project. I wrote a fundraising letter for an organization who raised money for charitable purposes, and I took every point of their claim and verified it against the records that they file as a nonprofit with the IRS. And I did this to make sure that if I said, because this was a private fundraising letter that said a large portion of the money raised in this event will go towards this activity. Now, I have no way of validating that the money raised went to the right activity, so I adjusted that claim to talk about a historical fact as presented in their documentation to the IRS, and saying, and I don't know if it was 87% or 99%, I don't know what it was, but I said X percentage of money raised as our filings with the IRS, you put in the credible element, as our filings with the IRS show that the majority of our money goes to the charity of cause. And that's why you can be assured that your donations will be used in the right way. And that's just kind of ad hoc of how it was presented. But I used the validation as social proof that the claim being made was factual. So as a copywriter, I wasn't making the claim. My client wasn't necessarily making the claim, and the claim was specific enough that it could be verified if there was ever a question. So this fundraiser goes on to raise $500,000 or something like that. I want to make sure that there isn't, nobody coming back on me because of a claim made in a letter or a sales piece. And the same goes for your products and services. When I make a claim in my documentation that my expensive experience was $579,000 of money and time and frustration invested in my first business that failed, I actually have documentation about how that number was calculated. Now, it might be in a file somewhere around here, but it's there in case there ever was someone who called me out on the carpet. When I filed for bankruptcy and had 2 years sleeping on the couch at my brother's house, essentially homeless, I have reference. I can call my brother and have them do a reference, or I can show you the address locations, because those things are tracked in my records. So if you have a customer, even if it's not an outrageous claim, document everything. You should have a journal of assets it has two purposes. First purpose is for legal and compliance. If you ever have the FTC come along and they contact you because you wrote the letter, or later the letter goes into licensing and you're the only person they can track down, you want to have a ledger of claims. And the ledger of claims is going to outline each of the assets in the campaign. Benefit one, what is the substantial support that this benefit is absolutely true? And in doing that homework, you're going to discover all kinds of interesting things. Like John Carlton's one-legged golfer, in validating that claim of this golf club makes your swing so straight and everything. The reason why, the what if, that detail, he discovered something more valuable than the original claim. So this ledger of assets, this listing of claims, this listing of benefits is going to be used to dig down into the research to find the hidden benefit of things. For example, I'm very ADD in a sense. I get distracted easily. I actually feel more comfortable with all these books around me and easy reference things I can reach out for. And I mentally compile and know where all this stuff is. And I have organized records of the books on the shelf, and the location of materials in my office is very particular. And it annoys the crap out of my wife. But that fact itself is a behavioral characteristic that makes me more beneficial to my customers. Now, I made several claims here. I said I have ADD. I don't know if I have ADD. I haven't gone and had a psychological analysis, but I backed that up with behavior and representation. So I showed these elements. But the bigger claim is that these behavioral characteristics are valuable because I'm going to dig down deep inside of what the customer's needs are and find them the hidden benefits. Like Ted Nicholas talks about, the hidden benefits, and I'm going to present those to the customers. But in practice, the underlying 2 points, the first one being that ledger of assets, is a way of organizing information and protecting your legal liability associated with writing copy. It is, if you're out there doing little piddly assignments, just barely getting by, then you might not need to worry about this. But I go after the whales. I go after the accounts that are large accounts. I go after 5-figure starting fees just to have a consultation about the account itself. So there's more money at risk. If someone's going to sell a radar system and we're doing technical documentation, follow-up letters, and other types of collateral, I want to make sure that every claim is covered, because there could be a federal trade-related issue. There could be contractual-related issues. There could be another claim. If you're doing a vitamin product or you're doing a medical product, you're going to have more than the FTC looking at that. You could have the other types of the Food and Drug Administration. You could have other groups and organizations looking at that. So you want deep evidence from your customer. Second part is that you want credible organizations to support the evidence. So the customer says to you, this product grows hair. Great. Show me the clinical studies, the Mayo Clinic report that shows that this particular vitamin in here grows hair. If you have claims that are not supported by the FDA or not evaluated by the FDA, then you need to have specific reasons why it was not evaluated by the FDA and what it means not to be evaluated by the FDA and why your product is so much better because it made it past their strenuous rules where they're going to change the product and it's an herbal product. Document this stuff. You document it for legal reasons, but then you tie in the credible resources to help with the trust factors of the letter. So you never want a client to outright lie to their customers. You're an ethical barrier. They may insist you outright lie to a customer. You don't want that type of client. But the bottom line is this underlying research reveals different things that can help you in the long run. They may say, well, this particular product was not evaluated by the FDA. However, in Japan, like turkey tail mushroom treating a cancer, in Japan, it is actually regular practice to use turkey tail mushrooms, an extract of that, in order to treat cancer. But in the United States, it's not a regular practice. You can sell turkey tail mushroom extracts, and there are products that are available on the market today. You can sell those products, and you can make the claim that they are used to treat cancer in Japan. Reference the trade journals, reference the medical documents, and that will protect you against a general claim, which might be turkey tail mushrooms prevent cancer or treat cancer. See, the specific nature of your document. Now, my background is sometimes technical related sales copy in a commercial business-to-business environment. So I will be very particular for those reasons that I'm writing to a sophisticated audience. But I do believe that you can have maximum persuasion even with a non-sophisticated audience by following the two elements. Internally, you're going to track your assets, and you're going to track the evidence and proof of every claim made. If you've got 30 fascinations on a page, I want you somewhere to have every claim documented. And this is going to lead you to photographic evidence. This is going to lead you to court records and other things that you can then layer in on that second element. And that second element is the specific social proof. If your product reduces the costs associated with telephone services in a business, and you have 8 case studies that prove this as a fact, as a copywriter, you want to be paid to rewrite the case studies into white papers so that you can reveal the 7 support cases that show how these companies have saved X number of dollars and how you can too. You want to get paid to rewrite that, and you wouldn't know it existed unless you dug deep into the materials. But you also want to have those materials available if anybody ever comes back and counterclaims or files suit on your client, and then your client offs the campaign by the lawyer suing you, saying that you didn't represent the client in an effective way or accurately, and it slipped through the review process. And actually, I didn't get a chance to talk about this, but we'll talk about it in the membership. The review process necessary that you get customer sign off on the documents, so that when you are presenting the documents, you get a sign off that it's true and accurate to the information provided from the customer. So it's a reduction of liability. Here's why I'm telling you this stuff before we wrap up. There are all kinds of copywriting courses that tell you how to make 6 figures or more in copywriting. And I don't argue with that. You can make 6 figures or more in copywriting, even single assignments. I've got evidence to prove that. Dan Kennedy, for example, has been paid $1 million. Bill Glazer been paid $1 million or more for copywriting assignments. There are people out there, but the FTC ruling is that there are typical results. So you can run a company, an ad agency or a marketing firm, and make 6 figures as a copywriter gross, easily. It's only $10,000 an assignment every month. Okay, very easy to do. But nobody teaches you about reducing your liabilities and also the research methods that are necessary to write copy that guarantees you that income because your customers are getting results, staying out of trouble, getting substantial returns on your marketing investment. Essentially, you're building an asset for them. Now, you don't have to give the client that research package. Now, I do as a service, give them the research package. Some of these notebooks are research packages on doing marketing to copywriters, marketing to electrical contractors, marketing to government agencies or government federal contracts. Those materials are part of my library that I'm going to reference over and over again. But that research, that in-depth research, the customer pays for it as part of your producing the copy, but you will never pay for it as part of a liability case where they have had deceptive advertising, because you're going to have that asset list. You're going to have the specific organizations to whom you got the information. You're also going to have errors and omission insurance, which is very useful as well. Now, maybe your country's not as litigious as it is here. So this is two things. It is both it's more than two things, but I'm only sharing two here because we're going to wrap this up. It is a means of gathering specific information that you can use for your bullet points. It is a means of verifying the information is accurate, because sometimes your customer may not. They may just have an idea of the product's benefits. That's the product they sell. But the customers may have other benefits beyond what it is they can convey. And then also you have the specific evidence. So you have affidavits from customers, you have copies of government studies, you have background information and research from other countries. If, for example, you're installing gray water systems in the United States, it's not a popular thing to do. But Australia has actual gray water specifications as approved by the Australian government that actually are the same type of installations you might do here in the United States. So if you're selling a gray water system and the value of gray water on an agricultural property, for example, then you can quote the results found in the Australian government's reports as a credible evidence of claims being made on the product here in the United States. Do you see how that works? It's a research method. It is a liability reduction or a risk reduction method, and it is a way that you can produce copy and materials and insights that your customers will never be able to do on their own. In fact, it puts you in a unique position to achieve those things that everybody else is promising you, but it gives you the insights in order to build a library of materials that are going to help you produce assignments easily and more quickly and with less effort. And in fact, when I sit down with my consultations with clients, very often in 15 minutes, we can have a complete sales letter outlined. And that's why we record those sessions, because we can just dialogue with each other and come up with the concept of a complete marketing campaign. But what do you expect after 20 years of doing this kind of stuff? I've advertised for my own business, I've marketed for clients, and then I'm really big on the process, so I've geared things down to the process. And of course, the attention to detail, as I've provided in the example of myself. So I'm going to wrap this up. This is this is the behind the scenes stuff that people don't share with you out there in the rest of the world. This is the real world. That is bullshit. So I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's copywriting tips, saying yes, you can create and keep profitable customers and turn every business relationship into profits, guaranteed. And I've got evidence of proof of that. But the bigger evidence of proof is how words can sell. Words persuade, words can change, and there's a certain level of responsibility in there, which we talked about in this program today. If you have any questions about this or any other program that I offer, this program is K0224B. Simply write, fax, or call our offices. Actually, you'll have to call the question hotline, and leave a message, and somebody will get back with you. When we do group coaching sessions, be sure to have your questions ready. I will answer any question that you have, and if I can't answer that question, we actually have a team of researchers on board. When you're writing the big jobs, when you're getting paid 5 figures, 6 figures for a marketing campaign to develop an asset for your customer, you're going to need these skills to get more out of what you do. And then you can even use them for your own marketing of copywriting services. Again, I'm Justin Hitt from Ad Briefing Copywriting Tips. Thanks for watching.